Welcome to Showing Up Anyway, the podcast for people who are not perfect. On this show, we talk about intuitive eating, fitness without obsession, and healing your relationship with food and your body. All right, my friends, welcome back to Showing Up Anyway. Look who showed up. You did. And I'm so glad that you're here. Today's topic is big. Just the other day, I made a response to a video on social media to someone saying that they, on their weight loss journey, would often go out to eat at restaurants and didn't realize how many calories she was eating because the food was always promoted as healthy, right? So how bad, I don't like that word, but how bad could it be? And I just thought that I would expand on that a little bit more. So today we're going to be talking about how restaurants and fast food chains use really clever marketing tricks to convince you to buy whatever they're selling. Let's start with some background because understanding the history of healthy eating trends is crucial to spotting how restaurants use strategies and sales tactics because they are the same as they used to be, just in different ways. Restaurants and food companies decades ago discovered that labeling products as healthy significantly boosts their sales. Back in the 80s and 90s, there was an explosion of products that were advertised as low fat and fat-free and light. That was not by accident, okay? It was driven by public health campaigns that warned people about dietary fats. Back in the 80s, that was really, really big. Companies realized quickly that this messaging could be turned into profits. Snackwell's cookies, for example, were a household staple probably back in the 80s, mainly because they marketed themselves as a fat-free snack. And so people bought them believing they were making health-conscious, smart choices, and they could still have cookies. They didn't want to give up their cookies, but they wanted to make smarter choices. The problem, though, with that was back then, and still now, a lot of these products that are marketed as fat-free often they compensate that by adding high amounts of sugar. Now, I know that sounds a little bit sketchy, and it is, but it's also a really smart marketing strategy. It's psychology. Consumers naturally feel good about their purchasing decisions when they think they're choosing something healthier. Because who doesn't want to be healthy, right? So you're going to order the healthier option, or maybe just the illusion of being healthy. Maybe you want somebody to see you ordering or buying those things and be seen as being healthy. Either way, that's exactly what restaurants and food marketers rely on, even today. Your desire to feel good about what you're eating or to be looked at as eating well, even if that's not actually true. As time has gone on, those buzzwords have changed and they adapt to new dietary trends and shifting customer preferences, but the fundamental strategy is exactly the same as it was. Today, you're gonna see things on menus and on billboards and signs like fresh, clean, natural, organic, seed oil free. Those terms deeply resonate with health-conscious consumers in 2025. And it's because they suggest purity and simplicity and nutritional value. Restaurants use those terms because they evoke positive feelings. They make you feel good and they imply inherent health benefits, whether or not they're actually scientifically supported to do so or not. And while I'm sure some of those shifts have brought on some genuinely positive changes, like adding fiber or fortifying with vitamins, it's important to recognize that something being organic or natural does not automatically translate to that being healthier for your body or aligned with your personal goals. An organic cookie is still a cookie, and a vegan donut is still a donut. But because of these marketing techniques, consumers will often assume that those products are inherently healthier than their counterparts, which makes it easier to justify overindulging and overlooking portion sizes. In essence, restaurants love healthy eating because it sells. They're not necessarily invested in your health, they're invested in what helps their bottom line. And historically, what helps the bottom line is making you believe that you're choosing something that's better for you than other versions of a similar product. The reason that these buzzwords work is because of something called the health halo. I don't know where that term came from. I didn't come up with it. But basically what it means is when you see a word like fresh or clean, your brain automatically assumes that the entire meal is good for you. And marketers know this and they exploit it. Take Panera bread, for example. This was one of the examples that was in the video that I responded to. They market their food as 100% clean, which is a bold claim and sounds reassuring, but here's the thing. Clean is not a regulated term. It doesn't have a defined standard. If you ask me right now how I define it, I wouldn't be able to answer that, would you? Let's talk about Panera's broccoli cheddar bread bowl, okay? Yes, it's free from artificial additives, but it still contains around 900 calories, making it calorie dense enough to be almost half of some people's daily intake. Now, high-calorie meals are not necessarily a bad thing, okay? You don't automatically need to stay away from something that's high in calories, just like you don't automatically need to choose the lowest calorie option. But it's still important to be mindful and aware of the portion sizes and the nutritional balance, especially when marketing tricks might make you underestimate how much you're actually eating. Another fan favorite restaurant, and one of my favorite restaurants, is Chipotle. And they have a very similar marketing strategy with their Food with Integrity campaign, which sort of suggests like ethical sourcing and fresh ingredients. And I do think it's true that Chipotle often will use fresher ingredients than, maybe your typical fast food restaurant, but freshness does not automatically mean lower calorie or ideal for weight loss, which I know is a thing that a lot of you guys are trying to do. If you get a Chipotle burrito fully loaded with, queso and guacamole, that can easily reach 1,200 calories or more, which is roughly twice the calorie content of a Big Mac. The tortilla alone is like 320 calories. Some people wrap it with 2 tortillas. If you get chips on the side, that's another 550 calories or so. But because Chipotle has sort of wedged itself into this healthier alternative category, people will often overlook the caloric density and just say, hey, it's Chipotle. It's a safer choice. It's a healthier choice. Then you have Jamba Juice, I think was the other example given in that video. And Jamba Juice markets, smoothies as nutritious fruit blends. And they can be, okay? They are often made with whole fruit and fiber, and you can add protein, but a lot of commercial smoothies from places like Jamba Juice and similar ones are often higher in sugar and calories than maybe what you'd make at home. And again, you don't need to be scared of sugars or avoid them, but moderation, right? Because depending on which one you get, a large smoothie can have the same amount of sugar and calories as a milkshake. And we don't drink milkshakes daily, do we? But a lot of people choose smoothies because they think they are making a smart, health-conscious choice. That health halo really impacts our eating behaviors and causes us to underestimate calories and overindulge based on misleading perceptions. I want to be clear though, okay? I am not telling you not to eat out at these restaurants and always cook at home. You don't have to do that. You can absolutely find options at those restaurants that better align with your goals, but I want you to be able to see beyond the buzzwords and make informed choices based on knowledge and not just what you read on the sign or see in the commercials. Now, I'm going to go back to my previous warning and say it again. I am not demonizing calories here, okay? I don't want you to hear me and think, oh, Adam's saying if it's high in calories, that means it's bad. I had one commenter, I think on Instagram, that thought that's what I was saying. It's not, okay? Depending on your goals or your intake for that day up to that point or whatever, you might want a 1,200 calorie burrito. This is about understanding how intentionally misleading marketing can affect our choices. I used to eat at Sweetgreen a lot when I lived in Chicago, and that was genuinely one of my favorite places. And I know it's not just a Midwest thing, because they have them all over the place. They have them in LA. But at the time, it was really close to my condo. It was right next to the gym. It was fast and convenient and relatively nutritious. My go-to order was the Super Green Goddess. If you've never had it, I highly recommend. By the way, this is not sponsored by Sweetgreen, although Sweetgreen, if you're listening, I'm happy to promote it. But at the time, that felt like a safe and smart choice for me. Okay, it has greens, chickpeas, tofu, sweet potatoes, almonds, and the dressing is delicious. And to be fair, that salad by itself is under 500 calories. So if I stopped there, I was probably doing fine. If I wasn't being mindful, it would be very easy to grab something with twice as many calories, which is fine if you know that. But if it's very easy to not give it a second thought when it all looks and feels so fresh and clean. And when food feels virtuous, we let our guard down. We feel like it's good for us. So we don't need to think about how much we're eating. We don't need to think about how full we're getting. We just finish the bowl no matter what, right? There is a psychological principle at play here called moral licensing. Have you ever heard of it? Basically what it is when we feel like we've done something good, like choosing a healthy meal, we feel more entitled to indulge later. Have you ever felt like you deserved a treat because you've been eating good all day? You know, I hate that term. But you feel like you've been eating well all week. Now I deserve something, delicious. Well, the food industry will leverage that psychology daily. People eating at restaurants that they perceive to be healthier will often underestimate calorie counts. They will order larger portions, and they will add more extras than they might at a place that they think is less healthy. You might order a small at McDonald's, but a large at Chick-fil-A. These restaurants know that, and they capitalize on it. And what's even crazier is that moral licensing also can affect your hunger perception. Studies show that when you eat something that is labeled as healthy, you might actually feel less satisfied, which leads you to eat more later on. Thinking that you've made a healthy choice triggers unconscious justification to indulge further later, which ultimately, obviously, is going to undermine your nutritional goals. And if you don't think the food industry knows and exploits that behavior, you are wrong. Another reason to adopt a more neutral view around food and start to get rid of labels like healthy and unhealthy. So what can you do? Well, the biggest thing is to start recognizing marketing for what it is. It's sales tactics. The commercials, the ads, the posters, the signs, they're all meant to sell you something. Companies do not care about your health. Now, I'm not going to go to the other extreme either and assume that they're trying to poison you, okay? But they are not invested in you personally. You are not their only customer. What they want is for you to feel good enough about your choices that you keep coming back and you keep buying their products. So the next time you see words like clean, natural, organic, or fresh, I want you to pause for a second and think a little harder about it. What does the rest of the meal look like? What are the portion sizes? Is it going to leave you feeling satiated and nourished, or are you just going to feel vaguely comforted because it was branded that way? Do you feel energized or satisfied after you eat, or are you hungry an hour later? Are you crashing? Are you bloated? These signs and signals are way more honest than any label is going to be. And the more you practice tuning into your hunger and fullness cues, the more confident you're going to become in trusting your body over a marketing message. And finally, I know I say it all the time, but this is big, let go of the guilt. Seriously, food is not moral. There is no good or bad. There is no healthy or unhealthy. Food is not junk food. It's just food. And whether you eat a burrito or a grain bowl, it doesn't reflect your worth as a human being. Some days you might want to grab something light and fresh. Other days you want a little more comfort and flavor and fun. That's okay. You're allowed to choose both. Eating should feel safe. It should feel flexible. It should not feel like something that you have to justify. This episode is not about telling you how and what to eat, okay? It's about helping you see through the noise so that you can make choices that support your body, your life, and your goals, not somebody else's marketing plan. You are the one living in your body. You get to decide what works for it. So here's the bottom line. I'm going to go back to something I said earlier. Restaurants do not care about your health goals. They care about sales. And they've gotten really, really good at using the language of wellness to earn your trust. Why? Because it makes you spend more. But now you are not walking in blind. You know what the buzzwords mean. And more importantly, you know what they don't mean. You don't have to be afraid of eating out. You just have to get curious. Ask better questions. Look past the fresh, clean, natural labels and listen to the only voice that actually matters when it comes to your health, yours and mine, but mostly yours. I want you to go out and I want you to enjoy your burritos, your smoothies, whatever, but not because a menu or commercial told you to, okay? Do it because it satisfies you, it nourishes you, it fits what your body actually needs in that moment. That's what intuitive eating is, just tuning in and trusting that your body knows what's best for you and being equipped with a little bit of knowledge to help you out. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Showing Up Anyway. You can find it for free on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And wherever you're listening, if you like the show, I'd love it if you gave me a 5-star review because that does help other people find the show. And hopefully it'll help change their life just like you're looking to change yours. If you're listening on Spotify, though, you can follow me and tap the bell icon so you get notifications when new episodes come out. I'm Coach Adam. Remember, when things get challenging, keep showing up anyway.